Hello, welcome back to our Mindful Mindset series with WonderLight Jewelry. I'm Kat and this is Katie, and we're here today to talk about another affirmation, and I think today we're going to be talking about clarity.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm excited.
Awesome.
Got some good questions. Do you want to start us off by talking about our clarity stone?
Yes, so clarity is an affirmation that we feel like is really important in life. Just trying to be focused on goals, manifesting kind of like those life and the dreams that we think about. So we chose Clear Quartz to represent clarity. So anytime you wear like one of our pieces of jewelry that contains the Clear Quartz, you're gonna get the affirmation card that talks about it a little bit more, as well as like an affirmation to go with your day. So for this one, it says, Clear Quartz is a powerful reminder of the importance of clarity. With its natural crystal clear coloring, it helps remind you to open your mind to higher guidance to bring a sense of clear clarity to your view. The purest white of all the stones, Clear Quartz is symbolic of the cleansing power that can come from gaining clarity.
Awesome. Well, I first want to jump in just by asking you, what does clarity mean to you? What does it mean to have clarity?
Yes, this is, I feel Katie and I were both joking. She gave me this one and not one of the other affirmations we were talking about, but clarity is something that I think maybe a lot of people struggle with nowadays. It seems like, I think with just like the information age that we're in, with so many things coming at you and different viewpoints and opinions, it's hard to really kind of like tap into like your goals and what you're trying to accomplish and think of and kind of manifest in your life. So having the skill set or like being reminded about the importance of clarity throughout your day, and that's kind of like what you're trying to focus on, I feel like can be super helpful. I know when we were first kind of like starting WonderLight Jewelry, we have these like build your own necklaces, and you can pick 4 stones that kind of represent whatever, again, you're trying to focus on and channel. And I remember that clarity was one of those stones for this like specific time and season that we're going through, because when you are starting a business, I mean, this is just my example, there's lots of times you need that in your life, but I felt like starting this new business, I really needed clarity and focus around like, okay, what is WonderLight Jewelry? Why is it important? Like, who are we helping? Like, get that clarity. This is what makes us different. This is why our jewelry is important. And so that's something that, yeah, I think is a mindset that is super important to try to cultivate.
I love that. That was the perfect answer.
Yay.
So what does clarity mean to you in the context of your personal life versus your professional life as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, again, so I feel like answered. So clarity is super important as an entrepreneur for sure. In my personal life, I think this one kind of like shows up in priorities, so to speak. So again, like we know, especially like I'm a mom, I have kids, I run a business, also a wife, like friend, you know, all of the different hats and everything. So if we don't have that clarity around like our whys, like why we're doing this, like what are we doing in our professional careers? Why is it important? Why is it meaningful? Why am I trying to, you know, spend this time with my children? Like what is that even, like, is that what I want to do? Do I want to prioritize like again, like you're looking back at your life, like what are those things that really moved your happiness needle and kind of like your definition of success? So everyone can tell, oh, if you know, make a lot of money or do this, but the reality is like none of that actually matters. So that clarity in my personal life is, okay, what are the things that actually like light me up and make me happy? And that is like spending time with my kids. It is playing pickleball. So I try to incorporate, like, that's not the only thing. It's like I don't just spend time with my kids and play pickleball, although sometimes it feels like that. Just kidding. I don't play that much pickleball.
Maybe I should do.
Yeah, maybe I do. But like finding out like what are those things that are really going to make me feel like I'm living kind of like my best version of my life, not what everyone else around me is telling me. And maybe like for some people that's not having kids, and I have plenty of friends that will never play pickleball their whole life, and they think it's like tiny tennis and will never pick up a racket, and that's fine. Like just kind of like being able to identify those areas in your life of like what is important, where do I want to focus my intention and get clarity around that. I think it's helpful.
Well, I think it's definitely easy to just get caught up in the busyness of life and then feeling like time has just been wasted, or that, you know, you're not really living true to who you are.
Yeah.
So
That's so true. I think about
it's a
that.
hard thing.
Even like the nighttime. Nighttime is like, I think this is an area like I really need to focus on, because I feel like once, you know, I've done a lot of like the work stuff during the day, kids are finally down, it's like, okay, I have like these couple of hours to really try to like decompress, but sometimes I don't really have a lot of clarity around like, what do I actually like? Part of me does want to work extra on my business, but I'm like, no, but I need some space. And so, but then I'll just end up like doom scrolling, or, you know, just doing something that at the end of the night I was like, I don't know, like in some, like, I don't know if that's exactly how I want to spend my evening. So I feel like I need to, again, just refocus my clarity around my evenings.
Yeah.
I think I'm struggling with a little bit.
Jordan and I were just talking about that, my husband, just yesterday, where he has a new job and he gets off a lot earlier than he used to. And still it feels like there's no time in the day in the evening. And so we were talking about like, well, how do we need to, you know, do we need to schedule out time, like your personal time? And he also has a business, and so he's wanting to put more time into that. And so it's just juggling, like, okay, where's your energy going?
Yes.
What can you take away? What feels good? But it's hard to do, especially if you just want to sit down and watch TV at the end of the day.
Which I think is sometimes okay too, but as long as you're like
yeah.
choosing that, I think that's like the point, is like if you have clarity, you're more confident in those choices. And so it literally doesn't matter what you're doing. You're spending time with your kids or your spouse, or you just you and YouTube, or like whatever it is, as long as you're like being mindful of that and being like, yeah, this is what is going to fill my bucket and this is what I want to be doing with my time. Like, great, like go for it.
Do what you want.
Yeah. You do you.
I love it. Okay. Do you have any practices or habits that help you maintain that mental clarity?
I think this is a really good one.
Come hard.
Yeah. What are some things? So for me, I think going for walks is a big one, and I love doing that, and it's something I do pretty frequently, not daily. I mean, there have been times where I've done that. Again, it just kind of depends, like weather permitting a lot of times, where we live here in Arkansas, and just kind of like what's going on in life. But that's a moment where like, and I'll listen to like, a lot of the times it'll either be like podcasts, you know, about business, or it'll just be like my favorite music. Like I love listening to different music, but it's a lot of just almost like kind of like fantasizing, daydreaming, kind of like imagining future scenarios. And again, this might just be like my archetype personality, but yeah, I think that's a practice where you can have that time to try to remember and gain clarity around some of the pieces in your life that are moving and constantly like changing. And that's why I think it's important, you know, to always have like a practice or something like that, where you can be consistently reevaluating, like, okay, do I have this clarity? I know I haven't quite ventured into the, I'm spacing on the words, like the meditating where you sit quietly with your inner self. I've done it a couple times. I'm hoping to get there. Maybe that's something we could talk about with you, Katie, but like, I feel like that could also be a good opportunity. I can't remember, are you meditating these days?
I try. I think meditating is a very general term in my brain. Like what I might think of as meditating is not meditating for somebody else. Yeah. I think when I have a little bit more of an anxious mind, sitting quietly with my thoughts is too overwhelming, and I don't want to give those maybe more negative thoughts a space to exist when I'm trying to feel a little bit more at peace.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely important to feel your negative emotions and process them in the right way, but just sitting and saying, okay, here we go, what is in my brain, is sometimes not the best time to do that. So I love what you said about walking and how that is a calming, peaceful activity for you, where you can feel like you have some more clarity. I love moving my body, and so meditating for me might be going to the gym, and I have a podcast on or music that is more uplifting to me, and that has enough going into my brain in order to let out what I want to get rid of, if that makes sense. So yes, I meditate, maybe in a different way than some people do. I'm not like Zen
Formal
meditation as much as I would like, but
yeah. I think it's interesting you talked about like sitting with the negative emotions. I know we talked about that in the gratitude attribute with me, and that's like such a hard piece for me. So yeah, I love that thought around like, again, meditation, gaining clarity. It doesn't always have to look quite so textbook, and we try to get rid of, I know we've talked about this before, all of the shoulds in our life. And I think I might have even just said like, oh, I should meditate more. No, you should or shouldn't. Like, just, I have a visceral reaction to those words. They have a place, maybe, but for me and right now where I'm at in my life, I'm like, get out of here, shoulds and shouldn'ts. Yeah. But I am curious about, I've heard a lot of good things about people that are a little more like kind of like formal in that quiet meditative space. But to your point, like the walking, the listening to music, what kind of like, what's your inspirational? You said inspirational music. What is that for you?
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need something loud to just get my blood pumping.
Like what? What do you listen to?
I random. They're like 80s.
Okay.
Pop, rap, like literally everything. I listen to everything.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Okay. So last question when we finish up here. Can you think of any experience where you maybe might have lacked some clarity and how you were able to navigate through that confusion?
Yeah, I think now, today, right now, in this moment. No, I do think there's like right now kind of like something happening in my personal life that is really just, it's been a little bit of a friction point, and I'm not used to that. Like my whole life, I feel like clarity has come a lot easier. It's like what I felt like I should be doing is what I also wanted to be doing in a lot of ways. And so I always just followed that path, and it's, you know, and it's worked out great. Like, oh, I should be doing this, but I also want to be doing this. But so right now it's kind of like I'm experiencing a little more of a disconnect of like more typical societal conditioning. Everything around me is kind of like, oh, you shouldn't do or be or want this thing in your life right now, but I think I do. But at the same time, I'm like, but maybe I don't, you know? And so it's like really hard to try to figure out that clarity piece. I'll share just like something that one of my therapists, I may or may not have more than but we just talked about a couple weeks ago that I thought was a really interesting point to that clarity. And it goes back to, again, that concept that we talked about of being able to sit with those negative emotions. And so he was saying that right now it's almost like I can't even make the choice because I'm so afraid, like this if I choose this option, there is a possibility of a lot of pain, regret, remorse, like all of those things that I'm like, no, can't ever feel those, never ever, like get out of here. Right. And so he's like, you're not really choosing, even though like right now, even if you were to make that choice and be like, yeah, I'm not choosing that, you're not really, because it's like your body won't even like allow that as a possibility. So until you can gain confidence in being like, hey, I can feel regret and remorse and sadness and pain and hopelessness. I can feel all of that. They're just feelings. They are feelings. I don't want to say just like, but like if you can learn to feel those and like be at peace and know that you didn't actually, you know, I don't know, to be dramatic, but like die from feeling those feelings, then you're able, once you have confidence in your ability to do that as a human, it's like you can actually look at things maybe a little more objectively and be like, okay, I know I have the choice now because I could choose this, which has the possibility of feeling all these things, or I could choose this and there's possibilities over here. But until it's like it just helps you to be able to gain that clarity around like, okay, what do I actually want? So that is something that I'm definitely moving through right now. I feel like I wear a lot of clarity pieces these days because of that. Yeah. And it has become, just kind of like one of my favorite attributes to kind of focus on and cultivate a little bit more, because at this moment in my life, it's like not as there as I feel like it has been in the past.
Well, and I feel like that's the interesting thing with clarity is it can change so much based on where you are in life, and that's okay, and that's normal. And sometimes I think there's a lot of pressure to always be just better and better and better at the things that we're trying to focus on, whether that's gratitude or clarity or communication, but it's not always a straight upward, trend of I'm just doing so good at this is awesome, because our lives are always changing. And so then maybe you're not as good at maintaining clarity right now, or maybe there's a struggle where you just don't feel that as much as you used to, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that you're failing or that you don't actually know what you're doing, but it's just the ups and downs of life, and that's okay, and that's normal. And you'll get through it. Everybody does.
I love that, Katie. I think that's one of the things, like, again, when we were like creating this brand and our mission and our values, like one of the things that kept coming up for me that I was actually concerned about is I didn't want this concept of like, oh, we're focusing on like all of these different attributes and improving them and making them like a part of our life and increasing like all of the things that we're like working towards and doing. And it's like these beautiful reminders like throughout your day. You don't have to do anything extra to connect to that kind of like attribute. You don't have to take the time and sit there and meditate, although that's not bad. I just know though, like for me, I'm like, I don't have the time. And so I was like, wait, if I put it in my jewelry, I feel it, I wear it. But in that same breath, I didn't want to make women feel like this weight of like, I'm not enough, like I need to be, because you don't, like you just being is enough. Like you are, like I heard a quote and it was something along the lines of like, you don't need to be good, you just are good. Like everything you do, every choice you make, it's all learning, it's just good. You're just good, and where you don't ever have to be perfect. And so I love that reminder of, maybe you're doing really great at this attribute right now or feel like it, and then not as great at other times. Like that is all okay. Like we still want the women that we work with to feel energized, empowered, and enough. And it's not like we're on that hustle train of like, gotta do better, gotta grow, gotta keep, like you can just be in wherever you're at and find that peace, that joy, that clarity in, like you said, the imperfection of it. And that's okay. And that's why, like, one of the reasons, like sometimes I get intimidated doing stuff like this for our brand, because I'm like, I'm not an expert in clarity. I'm not an expert in all of these like mindsets. Like sometimes like the industry, they're like, you gotta be like an industry expert in mindfulness. And I'm like, I'm learning and trying. And that's why I like my company and my jewelry, because I feel like I'm not an expert at these things yet. But yeah, I just thought that was a beautiful reminder about clarity and all of the, again, just kind of mindset pieces.
That's so perfect. Well, thank you everybody for watching this week. I definitely got a lot out of this discussion. I hope that you guys did too. Kat, do you want to finish us off with our clarity affirmation?
Yes, you did so good, Katie. All right. Our Clear Quartz clarity affirmation is, my mind is clear and focused. So again, like when I'm selecting the piece for the day, I have my card there, and that's just something I would try to breathe into, think about. My mind is clear and focused. So hopefully this week, if you need a little extra clarity, you can find that, whether it's, helpful to wear our Clear Quartz clarity jewelry pieces, or again, just have these kind of like mindful moments of reminders about the importance of these different attributes. But we're excited that you've joined us, and we look forward to talking with you next week again on one of our mindful attributes. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.